All right, welcome to the call, everybody. I'm glad everyone's here. My name is Tim Damron. I'm with the House of Yah Community Outreach, and I'm more than just with the House of Yah Community Outreach. We are actually a full-blown nonprofit here in Bexar County, Texas, San Antonio area for some of you. Want to welcome you guys to the call tonight. We're going to have a really great call. Last week, we had, we got censored. And so tonight, we're going to be covering those things and try not to cover the things that got me censored the last time. So I'm really glad everybody's here. And we're going to further our discussion basically from last week and talking about these false teachers. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Praise the Lord. It's a beautiful day. Yahweh is good in all things. And, in light of it, Shabbat ending right now and the day closing, I'll tell you, Yahweh gave me Matthew chapter 24. And this isn't going to be a big long sermon, guys, but I want you to hear this, okay? Because, this stuff doesn't just come up for fun. It comes up because somebody's trying to talk to us. And I want you guys to hear it. I mean, it's just really important. Anyway, so in Matthew chapter 24, the disciples are coming and talking to Yeshua when he's sitting on the Mount of Olives in verse 3. And he says, when they came to him privately, he says, tell us, when will these things happen? And what will be the sign that you're coming? And Yeshua replied, he said, watch out. Don't let anyone fool you. For many will come in my name saying that I am the Messiah, and they will lead many astray. Now, what does that mean exactly? Does it mean we got a bunch of people running around saying they're going to say they're the Messiah? Well, in a lot of ways, we have a lot of people that are out there making promises like a false Messiah. See, there's a lot of teachers out there that are teaching things they shouldn't be teaching because they haven't done it. They haven't paid their dues. And what happens is you start spreading confusion, and then you become accountable for it. And then that's when people change their phone numbers and things like that. Well, let's keep reading. He says, for many will come in my name saying that I am the Messiah, and they will lead many astray. David straight. And you will hear the noise of wars nearby and news of wars far off. Okay. He says, all this is the beginning of the birth pains. Okay. And these are these people that are promising you guys that you can live in dishonor. Okay. You cannot live in dishonor. I can't tell you how many phone calls I get from folks that are telling me, we've got these great teachers out there that are showing people how to get out of paying their bills. When you're looking at it from that perspective, you're already wrong. So tonight we're going to be talking about a couple of things. One of the first part of tonight's call is I'm going to be covering what we missed last week, and or basically what we covered a little bit last week, but unfortunately it got censored from YouTube. So we're going to redo the call, and I'm going to cover some of that. So some of the telltale signs, I know, right? Wah. Some of the telltale signs of a false teacher: when they won't tell you their name, when they make you sign something that says you can't hold them accountable, when they make you sign a PMA. Yeah. You know that you're in when somebody's teaching you how not to contract, and yet he wants to contract with you like that. Those are red flags. Okay. When you don't know his real name or her real name. Yeah. When they got these little fruity little internet names out there, that's a sign of a telltale. That's a sign. That's a telltale sign of a false teacher. And I say this because right off the bat, they're sowing seeds of deceit. Okay. Look, ladies, gentlemen, stop digging in these garbage cans looking for truth. You're not going to find it. It's not there. I know. They say it's there. And they say, oh, I know somebody that did this. Well, you know what? That's another telltale sign of a fake teacher. When they proclaim that they heard of somebody that did this. So it absolutely has to be true because they said so. Run fast. Get away from them. Okay? When somebody is telling you that you need to change your political status so that you can be free, get away from them. Run as fast as you can because you're in the hands of a false prophet. Hey, And these are people that are promising you things that quite honestly, they just can't deliver. Sorry, I know I got a light problem here. Give me a second. Yeah, that's better. Anyway, so these guys that are making these promises and they speak to you in third hand and you don't know their name and they charge stupid money to talk to them. Stupid money to talk to them. Why? What degree do they have? How did they earn that privilege? Ask yourself that. How do these people earn that privilege to do that? Well, most of the people that we know, when we take advice from somebody, we make sure they got something up on the wall back there, that shows they got at least like a high school diploma or something, right? Or do we? I'm going to tell you more often than not, we don't. More often than not, we've got a lot of teachers out there that claim to have all this legal experience, but they've never filed a single case. Anna Von right, Anna Von wrong, Anna Von. And so what you got to do, guys, is you got to guard your hearts. Yeshua is telling these people, he says, many of them will be trapped into betraying and hating each other. Many false prophets will appear and fool many people, and many people's love will grow cold because of their increased distance from the Torah. That means that they're so far out. They're just so far out. And I'm going to tell you what, man, I have interviewed some people this week that should be interviewing for maybe some psychiatric hospitals. And I'm not saying people are crazy, but I mean just some people they're just their the basics of right and wrong are just not there, you know? And there's no discernment. No, Yahweh will give you that discernment. Yahuwah, Yahweh. Okay? Not God. God isn't going to do it for you. And that Greek Jesus guy, he's not going to do it for you either. He's not. And here's the proof. How many people scream his name before they get sentenced? Does it work? Mm-mm. How many people scream his name before they get evicted out of their house? Does it work? Mm-mm. Get arrested by the cops. I've seen it on the side of the road. Does it work? Nope. Can I tell you that I've been pulled over? I've been pulled over before. Oh, yeah. Oh, yes, I was. Way, way back when. Yeah. And you know what? I knelt on the ground and I kneeled and prayed with my friend Kurt, and they let us go. That's a fact. That's what my God does. And I suggest that all of us get on the side of this because these birthing pains with all these false teachers and people running around everywhere, see, they're trying to take your ability to discern. We've got a lot of, uh, I can't say that word because that's what got me in trouble. We have things that are floating around in our social, yeah, right. We have a lot of things that are floating around socially that are killing us. Okay. And I'm not just talking about fast food here. I mean, we're talking about a lot of stuff. And so what you have to ask yourself is who are you getting your knowledge from? My uncle is a pretty smart guy. Well, at least he looks like he's a smart guy. He acts like he's a smart guy. But yet every time you hear him talk, he's always talking about some man that told him something. A wise man told me this. He's into this whole philosophy gig. Well, that's a pretty small bubble to live in because you give Yahweh no opportunity to work in your life. And then what happens is you get sucked in by the first song that comes dancing and jingling down the street. We got to be careful. We're going to be going into some dark waters, you guys. And so tonight, I wanted to talk about David Strait. I do. I've actually gotten a hold of his paperwork. And those of you guys that are on Uber Conference, you're not going to be able to see it in TikTok land. So those of you guys in TikTok land, if you want to join us on Uber Conference, okay, it's uberconference.com/freedom school, and you'll be able to see these things. Now, there's a long list of stuff this false Messiah likes to throw out there, and that's what he is. He's promising people all these things that are going to happen, and he's double downing on Donald Trump winning, and nowhere is there any humility. Nowhere is there an opportunity for Yahweh to even give thanks. I mean, even to give him glory for any of this, if there was any to give. And when you remove that element from your process, you're damning yourself. And I don't care how much wisdom you think you might have, it will falter and it will fall on its own because it won't stand. It won't stand in a place that has I'm gonna just get some more effects here. It won't stand when the storms of life come. You know, when you get a whole county that comes after you, okay? That stuff isn't gonna stand. So let's go through this little list, and I'm gonna be opening these documents up and going through them. And those of you guys in Uber conference, I'll be sharing my screen here in just a minute. So actually, you know what? Let me go ahead and do that now. Let's go ahead and do that. You guys want to join us again and on uberconference.com/freedom school. You can actually see what I'm doing here. Make sure I'm not fooling you. All right. So the first thing we're going to go through is this declaration of existence and acceptance of trusteeship. Number one, trusts are private. Okay. So you don't need to make a declaration of anything. The only thing you need is a certification of trust. This declaration of existence and acceptance of trusteeship is just redundant paperwork, not necessary, designed to keep you busy and learning nothing. All right. Declaration of marriage document. You know what? I'm just going to just shake my head on that one. Declaration of marriage pages. Now he's a marriage counselor. I love it. Declaration of status. All right. So let's talk about that. Declaration of status. You know what? There's nothing wrong with your status. As a matter of fact, your status, if you're born in this country, those of you guys that are on this call, your status is coveted around the world. Let me say that one more time. Your status is coveted around the world. There are people that will sneak into container ships that they can't even breathe in to try to get here to get that status that you have. And what you're going to see later in this, because I'm going to keep reading through this, is that they actually dissolved the status. Makes no sense. But we're going to talk about that. All right. So this deed of reconveyance and then deed of reconveyance pages. Elector status change. Wow. All right. We're going to go through an elector status change docs. Familia. So I guess we're speaking Spanish now. Trust docs. God trust docs. We don't know which God, but maybe it's Captain America. Who knows? All right. And then the next thing I'm seeing here is, of course, the pages. And then we've got God doc pages. Judgment of unrebutted affidavit. Okay. So this judgment of unrebutted affidavit, I just want to go with that right there. In order to have a judgment, you have to have a witness of 3. Okay. And that means 3 agencies. Okay. That doesn't mean 3 postage stamps and you initial them off on the back. That's called committing fraud. You don't work for the post office. Is it really that big of a deal to go down to the post office and get a stamp and have them cancel it? Huh? So let me tell you something he's not showing you. This book. That's right. It's a firm mailing book. And in order for you to have a judgment of any kind, a common law judgment, you got to have witnesses, man. I don't see anything in this cuckoo paperwork about witnesses unless it's on the pages. And then what? You're just going to keep them in your glove box? That's not going to get it done. That's why all these people are going to jail. That's why things are happening. So let's go through some of this. Actually, I'm going to finish reading through this. This is just silly. And then we'll go through it because we've got some time. All right. So we got this judgment of unrebutted affidavit. And I mean, and to say that you have a general judgment of unrebutted affidavit is so frivolous. That's like saying that you have one Christmas card or I don't celebrate Christmas, but you have one holiday card that you use for everything. Nobody would do that. Nobody would do that. And you're right. The proof is in the pudding. That's exactly right, living man. And the proof is in the pudding. And it's not in your glove box. You better have some forms filled out. You better be ready. This isn't going to do it, guys. This is playing around. This is somebody getting lost in their own nonsense. And actually, probably a collector of documents, I would probably guess, just reading through the list of these. But we're going to go through them here in a second. Let's just keep going through this long list of nonsense. All right. Judgment of unrebutted affidavit and judgment of unrebutted affidavit pages. Patient of nativity docs. Wow. Patient of nativity docs. Okay. I guess we're talking about where we're born now. And again, there's nothing wrong with where you're born. And later we're going to get down in here. We're going to talk about he's he's throwing everything back. So, I mean, why would you correct all this stuff if you're going to throw it back anyway? Well, let's keep going. All right. So now we got a property list, trust, and attachment docs. And we got some trust docs. Those are probably mine. Your property list docs. Those probably came from my class, but we're going to open them up and we'll take a look at them and we'll see. Because actually, little Kenny Plaster took my class. So more than likely, he's probably added that to his collection. For two, never mind, it doesn't matter. Recording cover sheet pages, revocation of election. Okay. So this revocation of election, this is him telling you, and we're going to go through this document tonight, but these two documents right here, they're telling you to give up your citizenship. Yes, they're telling you that you don't want to live in this country and that you don't live in this country, but yet you want to claim all the rights. And now earlier, we set up a trust here in this country, because you remember we were reading the little pages up here, right? And we set up the trust, and now we're going to take our citizenship and we're going to throw that in the trash. That's like taking your driver's license and canceling it in a foreign country and then going to go buy a new car. You're not going to be able to take that car anywhere. It's not going to happen. In a lot of countries, it won't happen. So let's keep going through this list. Wow. All right. So we got a property list. Okay. Recording. I don't know what we're recording here, but revocation. Oh, it's probably recording this nonsense. So I knew a lady one time that did this, that actually did all of this stuff and, shut down the drivers or shut down everything. She shut down her entire straw person, all of it. And she became a lady without a country. Literally. So, all right. So the next thing we got here is the affidavit, oath, and acceptance of trusteeship. Again, an affidavit, oath of acceptance of trusteeship. Completely frivolous. You'll never see a trust written, and I've seen a bunch of them, and I teach this. You will never see a trust written to officiate a trustee. Like, you just don't. That's just not something you need to. It's just completely redundant and overkill. All right, affidavit of rescinding the birth certificate. Here we go. That's what we're doing now. Now we're rescinding the birth certificate. Now, allegedly, this guy says that he's able to control the Sessa QV trust right off the bat, period, end of story. But how can you do that if you're literally giving it up? If you're rescinding your birth certificate? Hello? That's the bond. Hello? You can't be the holder in due course if you rescind the birth certificate. Because then you're just a man or a woman without your mind and a country. You paying attention? Guys, we haven't even opened the documents yet. And I can tell you, I can read through this list and this makes no sense. This is a false Messiah. This is a false prophet. We're going to continue. Affidavit of, certified proof of service. 4 cards. We don't know what that is. Certified proof of service of something else. We'll open that up. Declaration of existence of acceptance and trusteeship again. So we've got two declarations with pages. Oh my goodness. Can I tell you, these guys are just trying to keep you busy? Do you not see that? I'm not even saving this. This is dumb. No point. Did anybody not see that? All right, let's go through this. Let's go through this property A list, everybody. Well, holy cow. This is my property A list. Yep. This is totally my property A list, completely stolen from my class. So those of you guys that are listening to David Straight know that David Straight's listening to me, because this is my property A list that comes with my package. Wow. Interesting. But I'm going to tell you, he's missing a couple of things. He's missing a couple of things. So this will show you this guy does not. Let's look at this patient of nativity pages, whatever this is. All right. So for the nativity of the family of Joe, oh my gosh, don't you ever file any of this nonsense. Wow. So this is a private process, and I'm looking and I'm seeing that, no, this is just what happens when people take other people's classes and they become professional students, but they don't perfect the process. Somebody's making, Living Man's making a comment down here about this stuff. Yeah, thanks to Kenny Sticky Fingers. No, he stole it. He stole it fair and square. It's okay. He doesn't know how to use it. It's okay. He has no idea what he's doing. So anyway, so this genealogy thing that you're doing right here, he wants you to fill all this out, and then we're going to witness it. And it serves as proof that my living DNA existed on this land before there was a United States. But wait a minute. We're repudiating all that stuff. We're repudiating the birth certificate. We're repudiating all that stuff. Do you not see that this man is doing things to send you around in circles? Exactly what he's doing. That's why I wanted to read the list first. See, this is what he does. He gives you these little cute little pages here, and then he wants you to fill them out. But here's the deal, man. The Fourth Amendment protects us from unreasonable searches, okay? But the Fourth Amendment doesn't protect us from stupid people that want to make it easier for anybody wanting to search. Yeah, they can now track down your whole family. And I hope he doesn't ask you to file this anywhere. I bet he does. Oops. Yeah, this is not a private process. This is not moving into the private, everybody. You cannot move in the private if you're putting your business out in the street. You just can't do it, David Straight. No, sir. That's not how that works. And that's not how this process works. I'm going to tell you, I've said this many times before. This is a dangerous man. And he's a dangerous man because he's putting you, your family, in harm's way when he's asking you to fill out stuff like this. Who's this guy working for? I'm telling you. All right, let's look at this judgment of unrebutted affidavit. All right. Ooh, powerful stuff. Notice of certified judgment of unrebutted affidavit. Who certifies it? I certify this? All right, so the number, let's go through this real quick. Number one, this doesn't bring notice to anything or anybody. It just says notice of default certified judgment, but it doesn't list a recipient, if you'll notice. A fatal error. This is why if he's asking you to file this crap on the land record, if they're not filing it for you, this is why. It doesn't notice anybody. It says notice, but it doesn't notice anybody. It doesn't actually do anything. Yeah. Anyway, so here in bound, attached to, and so named as who I guess your all caps name here, whatever. I certify that on this day, the 22nd of the date, the certified proof of service was properly served and dated on the date of, and I hereby declare by my honor and under my authority as one of we the people. Oh my goodness. And under the laws of the United States of America, that in an affidavit, I mean, why don't you cover Germany too? I mean, why don't we cover the world court while we're at it? I mean, seriously? And again, do you realize this is an airplane that's taken off the ground with no people in it, no baggage, no nothing in it. It's just saying stuff. It's just stuff. Now, let me tell you what the rules in one of the major rules out there in contracting. 3. You need 3. This man has 2 witnesses. Wrong. You need 3. And not only do you need 3. Oh, wait a minute. No, I was wrong. We got the Jurat here. Okay. Okay, but you need 3 witnesses. The 2 witnesses ain't gonna cut it because you need 3 witnesses on the ground, 1 for the state, 1 for the mailbox. I mean, typically. And then this further goes through to say that, this big long speech about the man and the woman that executed it. And he certifies under perjury of the laws that the foregoing is true and correct. This is the end of the affidavit. And this affidavit means nothing. 0. It has zero grammatical value. If we were in the 6th grade, your teacher would throw this out. And the reason why? There's no subject matter. If you filed this in a court, they would dismiss your complaint. I don't care if it's unrebutted or not. They dismiss it either way because you got to follow the rules. You can't just make up your own rules as you go. And that's what I see more often than not in these situations, especially with these cuckoo birds. All right, so let's look at we looked at the judgment of unrebutted pages. Oh, here comes the dangerous stuff. All right, here we go. All right, we got the notice of default certified judgment of unrebutted affidavit. Of what unrebutted affidavit? Of who received it? Who accepted it? Or who'd you mail it to? That's another thing you'll find in here. It says stuff that I certify on this form day that he attached it. You should be saying other things. There's other language you should be saying in there. Hey, Sean, how are you? What you should be saying is that it was accepted by the parties. This language doesn't say anything about the parties accepting anything. So guess what you have? Garbage. It's unintelligible. Those of you guys that have filed this paperwork and an attorney has responded to it, he's going to tell you that this is unintelligible. And the reason that it's unintelligible, it's not because the words aren't audible. It's because what you're trying to accomplish is not clarified. This is a problem. This is what happens when you hire a hobo to give you financial advice. He's the hobo. This man doesn't know what he's doing. And I'm going to tell you what, this is the first time I have looked at this paperwork. I am looking at this paperwork just as fresh as all of you guys are hearing it today. So I'm just giving it to you right off the cuff. All right, enough of that. All right, so the next thing we got is some familia. What are we doing? We're doing organized crime now. We got the familia God Trust. I hope he knows which God he's serving. All right. Holy schnackers. I'm not opening this. Yeah, I'm not opening up this. This is garbage. I'm going to open up this other one. It's the same thing. This one's 702 kilobytes. All right, so here we go. A declaration of a trust. Last name, Familia. Do you speak Spanish? You speak Italian? Don't put this stuff in your... Why is this guy trying to make you sound like you're from a foreign country? Why is he trying to expatriate you or kick you out of this beautiful country that we have? Hey, man, it's not perfect. It's got problems. What am I reading? I'm reading David Straight's package. And if you guys, anybody wants this copy of all of his stuff, let me know. I'll send it to you for free. Gladly. I'm telling you, you're going to get a good laugh at this. Take it to a lawyer. Have him read it. He's going to laugh at you too. Take him some drinks too while you're there, and probably $200 because you're going to owe him some time if you make him read all this. Okay. I'm just going to tell you that now. So, first thing I see up here is the Declaration of Trust. All right. Let's see. This declaration of trust is made on the date between the Trinity of Almighty God, his beloved Son, and the Holy Ghost, and his host of heaven, and your first name dash middle name semicolon last name, his ambassador, a descendant of Abraham. Hold on. We're not all descendants of Abraham. Just going to tell you that. So, just moving along. I think we covered that last week or week before last when we were talking about, the devil has his children too. So we're not all sons. That's just not a fact. And being a descendant of Abraham, having granted dominion as the managing trustee, currently living on, but not ever limited to, the land known as your state, who hereby declares and agrees that they have received from a trust donor the sum of $100 and other properties described herein attached. Yeah, because you took it from Tim Dameron's class, plagiarizer. That they would hold and manage the same as steward and trustee. And this is the longest run-on nonsense sentence ever. Steward and steward. Never mind. It looks like steward, but anyway, steward and trustee, and any additions of in trust as follows and affirm. Okay, so if you put this in front of a lawyer, he's going to tell you this makes no sense. If you put this in front of your English teacher, she's going to give you an F. You're doing the third grade over again. I'm just going to tell you that now. Let's keep going. This is why it's important that you make sure you check the fruits before you buy this kind of stuff from anybody. All right. First, that the trust shall be called the last name Familia God Trust. God Trust is one word. It's ridiculous. That is this trust, God ordained and hereby formed as one with God, known as God Trust, one word, semicolon, that God is the creator, comma, owner and principal executor of, God is now your executor of the trust. Oh, wow. That God in his divine mind, don't file this. That God in his divine mind and author of the trust. Now God wrote the trust too. Now I'm going to stop reading that right now. That violates a lot of rules in the Torah, and I can't read any more of that. I'm really sorry. I gotta just move off that. You know what? Be careful, David Straight. Be very, very careful, my friend. This is dangerous stuff. Okay. I'm going to tell you the Torah is very clear when it says if you add or take away anything from the word of Yah, you're going to damn your soul, young man, old man, whatever you are. And I'm not making a threat to you. I'm just telling you what's written, son. That's what's there. You cannot sit here and say this. Guys, don't file this stuff. If you want to get put on a cuckoo list, there's your ticket right here. Number one. So when you're looking at the documentation on here, the standard rule for contracts is a font size of 12. His font sizes are way out of whack, and they're not right either. But you certainly can't say that God wrote this trust, and I'm not going to continue to read that garbage. So let me prove this. Give me just a second. The trustees may receive and accept property on behalf of the okay. The trustees may receive and accept property on behalf of the God Trust, whether in real property, monetary gifts. I'm not going to do this down. The principal and income of all property accepted by the trustees to be administered under this declaration of trust shall be held in trust by on behalf of the God Trust, and the trustees shall make payments off or distri- di- distributions of the trust. Oh my goodness gracious. Okay, so there's more stuff in here about what the trust can do and all this sort of thing, but these things don't belong in a declaration of trust. They just don't, and you don't need one. All you need is a certification of trust. This is just ridiculous overkill for no reason other than just to keep you busy and keep you occupied. I am David, and my paperwork is correct. Okay, Sean, I'll take your word for it. Anyway, fourth, this declaration of trust may be amended at any time by the written instrument signed by the trustees as provided. Uh, This is all language that should be in your trust, by the way, not in your declaration of trust. This is none of anybody's business. So here's what happens when you use it, when you have a declaration of trust like this and you don't keep all your stuff in your trust, you're commingling things. This is very dangerous to do. This is a bad idea to do. Just telling you off the bat. All right. So any trustee under this declaration, appointments may be made by instruments. Again, talking about more instructions by the trust. And if these things are not in the trust and they're just in the declaration of trust, then they don't mean anything. But we'll get to that. All right. Sixth, the extension and not in limitation of God's plan, internal treaties, the Constitution, and special tax laws for churches, religious organizations, ministers, and trustees shall have the following discretionary powers. So now we're going to create a church. Wow, we haven't even done the trust yet, and now we're talking about this. Remember what I said about commingling things? This is why you don't commingle things. This is a bad idea. All right. So, wow. Yeah, this is all these are all instructions that this whole number 6 is just nothing but instructions that a normal trust would do, but not necessary again on this document. This is a document that really shouldn't even exist. Really, it's not necessary. Anyway, the 7th, and obviously for the blasphemy that's in here, it certainly shouldn't be here. But anyway, the 7th, the trustees' fiduciary powers shall be consummated in accordance with God's plan. Really? Then tell the truth, because that's God's plan. That's God's plan for you. The word gospel is to tell the truth. And God did not write your trust. He did not give you permission to write your trust. And any kind of connection, verbiage that says that kind of stuff, let me tell you something. That's pure blasphemy. And you are asking to be taken out. You know why? Because Yahweh won't hear you. He won't hear you when you step away from him and you do things like this, willfully or unwillfully. You will pay the price. And I'm telling you, there's many people that are. Many people. Truths that govern Genesis 1:26. Wow, spoken like a true cult leader. And God said, "Let us make man in our image." All right, so that little saying right there. I mean, actually, this chapter right here, what he's reading. Now, remember that he talks about the Trinity, and the Trinity is as a belief that God the Father, Yeshua, and the Ruha Hakodesh are all one. And that if you're praying to, if you're in the, and a lot of people believe if you just pray to Jesus, that you're talking to everybody, even though the point of the Messiah's coming was so that you could talk to Yahweh directly, not talk to him. And so when he's talking about the Trinity up here, this chapter right here, he says, and God said, and actually in better translations, it says, and our Elohim said, let us make man in our own image. That means let us. That means the three of us are going to make man in our image, not the Trinity, not they're all one, right here. So The number one thing that you're going to see in a false teacher is that they will always do things and say things that are in contradiction constantly. And I'm going to show you this tonight if I haven't shown you enough already. But anyway, it says, "Let us make man in our own image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish in the sea, and over the fowl in the air, and over the cattle, and over the earth, and over all of the things that creepeth on the earth." If you say that you are a servant of Yahweh, then you're following him, and you have fruits in your life, and you can say, "Yes, this is what I do." It's not all stuck in your heart somewhere. "Oh, he knows my heart." I hear a lot of people that say that. He doesn't care about your heart. I mean, he does, but in Hebrews it says faith without works is dead. So if you don't exercise your faith, what you're doing is dead. Okay? So if you're reading this stuff and you're claiming this dominion, then you need to be serving him. If you claim to be a child of God or of Elohim, then you need to be serving him. You need to obey the Torah. You need to obey the Ten Commandments. There is no new law. These are those messiahs I was telling you about earlier, Matthew 24. These ones that are promising things. They're promising salvation. This man that generated or that stole this paperwork or plagiarized it or wherever it came from. This guy that sold this paperwork is trying to undermine Yahweh. He's trying to assume a role that he hasn't earned because he's a liar. It's a fact. No, Jeff is asking if I'm switching to Tuesdays from now on. No, I'm not. It's usually Monday nights unless Shabbat falls on those days. So Tuesday night, Shabbat begins at sundown, which is right when the call starts. I mean, Monday night it is the beginning of sundown. At sundown, that's right when our calls begin. So I had to move everything to Tuesday night. So and the way to keep track of that, you guys, is look at the 15th of the month, and whatever the day that falls on, that is Shabbat for me. And the day before is going to be preparation day. So at sundown, that's when it starts. So when we have Shabbat, like we did today, and it ended this evening, I have to obey those because these are my fruits. This is my proof that I honor Yahweh, that I honor God, that I honor my Elohim, is because I do what he says. I keep the Sabbath day holy. I'm not holding it above your heads. I'm not. I'm just telling you, these are the things that I do. These are the things that I checked in my own life so that I could make sure if somebody asked me, I could tell them. I could tell them this is what it is. This right here is a bunch of grandstanding. That's what all this is. You know, you want all the privileges, but you don't want to pay the dues. You say that you want to have this God trust. You want to govern it under God's rules, but you don't observe the Torah. You don't observe his Sabbaths. You don't observe his meats. You don't. And if you're not doing any of those things, you're not his child. You don't belong to him. And he says that. I'm sorry, but he does. In Genesis 1:27, he also quotes here that says, "So God created man in his own image, and in the image of God created him, male and female, and created them." It has no bearing on this trust. Doesn't mean anything. I mean, it's important scripture, but it's completely abusive to do it this way and try to insert something in here that just doesn't work. All right, and he's quoting Genesis 1:28. Apparently, he's stuck on Genesis 1. That's good, though. It's a good place to start. And it says, "And God blessed them, and our Elohim said to them, Be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth." Replenish the earth. Thank you, David. That means that there were people here before him. That means that there were people that were here that were made from somebody else's image. And they still here. Oh, yeah. Maybe we need to all go back and read this chapter 1 again. Thank you, David. All right. And he says, "And to replenish the earth and subdue it, and have dominion over the fish, the sea, and over the fowl of the air." If you're not following Yahweh, If you don't have his Holy Spirit living in you, his Ruach HaKodesh, then you know what? You're faking it. You're faking it until you make it. And there's a lot of that going around these days. We got to stop it. And then he goes on and he continues to talk about the land is common law, rights and property, blah, 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 blah. And we are governed through our beliefs, through our superior creator, which is a God, and a superior creator, a God. Wow. Okay, let's go back. I'm going to read this slowly again. It says, we are self-governed through our beliefs in a superior creator, a God. Hallowed be thy name. How will it be thy name? Because it's just going to be a God if you get this package. That's a problem. That's a red flag. That we will atone and be responsible for our sins. All right, there's a date of atonement. There's a day of atonement that's scriptural. We're supposed to take that day. It was right before Sukkot. But you know what? Churches don't teach that anymore. They don't talk about it anymore. Anyway, it says, so how are you going to atone for these sins when you don't even know when the Day of Atonement is? Doesn't make sense. This is the language of a cult leader. You got to be careful. So therefore, we love thy neighbor and do not harm, and we seek to do good in all things, except tell the truth. Anyway, he continues to go through and continue to just quote more scripture out of nowhere, really coming to no point. He's quoting Deuteronomy 1:17, ye shall be respecters of persons in judgment, but ye shall hear the small as well as the great, and ye shall be afraid of the face of a man, for the judgment is God's, and in the cause that is too hard for you, bring it unto me, and I will hear it. Don't file this. I'm going to close this. This trust doesn't really direct anything. It talks about constitutional rights and international laws. Again, there's no subject matter here. Again, we're just talking about what are we doing here? But how did this document start? We started with a declaration of trust, and now we're down here at the bottom, and we're talking about scripture. We're going to church now, Christian church, clearly. And after we got done with that, then we're over here. And now we're talking about constitutional rights and all this other stuff. Politicalism and trusts do not mix. Trusts are private. They're not publicly known. They're not publicly talked about. They're publicly witnessed. That's what they are. Okay. And so this document right here completely breaks all the rules for any of that stuff. It's complete nonsense, by the way. All right. So then there's another file here. Another familia. Oh, it's the same thing. Yeah. Anybody got any questions, comments about any of this? I'm going to open up the call. I didn't mean to take this much time going through all this. There's just too much here to go through. I'm going to switch off, run over here. Anybody have any questions or comments? I'd love to hear any questions, comments about any of this stuff. Guys, you got to watch out for these teachers, man. You got teachers out there that are just teaching stuff that they just don't even know how to really answer. When you start asking your teacher questions and he doesn't answer your questions right away, or he can't answer your questions, or he struggles to answer your questions, if he stutters, he's probably a false teacher. John, I see that you're unmuted. Go ahead, brother.
Yeah, Tim, I've been working through these documents, the UCC stuff, the last 2 days. Listened to the calls a couple of times. I just got a couple of quick questions.
Okay, go ahead.
In the security agreement, there's a place on page 4 or 5 that says declared his sovereignty. I think we're supposed to get rid of that.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes, because we don't make political references. We don't make political references when we're talking about trusts.
Yeah. And in that, also on that page 5, there's a sentence that makes absolutely no sense, and I think it can be reworded if I understood the meaning of it. You know what we're trying to convey, because it starts the sentence saying "is hereby the property." That's how the sentence starts, and that can't be the start of a sentence. It's
What do you
like the
mean? It says in here by the
continuation of something
property.
else. Yeah, it's on page 5. It's right after the stuff where it talks about trademark and copyright. But
All right, hold on a
that's
second. Let me pull it up real quick.
okay.
Simple. And you know what? And this is, and I'm always happy to answer anybody's questions. And I know you emailed me this earlier this week. I've just been so covered
Yeah,
up. I'm sorry to get
you
around
got
to
my
answering you.
email.
I did get it. I saw it.
Thank
I
you.
saw it. I saw it. Man, I've just been really covered up.
All right.
So we got page 5 here. And where's it at? Up towards the top?
Yeah. Let's see. I'll open it up too.
It says in all derivatives thereof, it is
Yes, yes.
is
And all derivatives
hereby the
thereof is
property and the
hereby.
secured and the security of.
Yeah, when you read it and put that together with the sentence above, it doesn't make sense. There's missing a subject or something.
Yeah, you could probably put, well, it's abstract. It's abstract English, but you still could put, if you wanted to, you could complete that however you want to. It's fine.
Yeah, I would just say
I would say it
all
is.
caps name or whatever. It is hereby or whatever. Okay.
Yeah, that's fine. You could say it is. Yeah, you could put the all caps name there and say it is. But I
Okay.
think it needs to be in there. It
Yeah,
is.
something. We got to have a subject.
Yeah,
Okay.
so I think it is would be it is hereby the property of the security of.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
that's probably the best. That's probably going to be
Okay.
your best motive there. Just a little 2-letter word there. It.
Just wanted to make sure I was on the same page. That's fine.
Yeah, we're good. We're good. We're good. Good. I'm
Okay.
glad that you're reading it and going through that. That's good.
Oh, I
That's
spent a
good.
lot of time on it.
Good.
Witnesses. We've got 3 witnesses.
Always.
What? Yeah, but who can they be? Who can't they be? I mean, they
They
got to
can
be
be
3
anybody.
strangers. Can they be family members, non-family members, both, mixed?
Anybody. Anybody. As long as
Does
you know what, yeah, you could drag them all with you, or if your notary's at the bank, go grab everybody else around the bank. They'll come do it. That's
okay.
fine. I did.
And
That's what I did.
the
Actually, I take that
notary.
back. I did mine at the county. And
Okay.
and I got all the county people to come out and witness it.
Oh,
Everything.
nice.
So
So the notary though is not one of those 3, right?
no.
Okay.
The notary is a witness for the state,
Okay. All right.
and that gives you
Then
your state jurisdiction. Not and then you have your postal after that.
okay. All right. I was a little bit confused too on the bond. We've got the registered mail number on there, and you talked a little bit about getting that mailed, but is that something they mail or something
No,
that
no,
you
no.
can
You need to mail
mail?
it back to yourself.
Okay, from so I can mail it from the all caps address back to my address or something like that.
It doesn't matter as long as it gets mailed. Just get it, and maybe take it out of town or something and mail it from a far post
Okay.
office. That way you can get a lot of post offices on the way there. It'll stop at every one of them.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, and the paper, the bond paper, we're talking about
32 pound,
32 pound,
100% cotton.
100% cotton. That's what it's got to be. White. It's hard to get just white, but lots of colors available. But I think I found some. So
Well, if you need to, you can. I've got a whole bunch of it here. If you want to, you
yep.
can send me $10 and email me your stuff. I'll print it off and mail it back to you and I've got some registered mail stickers as well. I can give you those as well. Happy to do it.
Okay. All right. I'm good. I've got everything prepared. Now I just need to pull everybody together to get it all signed. So
There you go, my friend. There you go. And that's a
thank you.
party. That's when you have a
Yeah.
judgment. That's when you really have a judgment. When you can pull everybody together and everybody signs up and they say, "Here you go." That's when you know you've got something. Those of you that ever want to look up on how to recall any public official, that's how it's done. It's done by signatures. It's done by witness.
I'm kind of wondering too if is how much is there to the firm mailing book? Is it all self-explanatory, or should we have a little primer on how to do that? Or
We'll talk about that we talk about that. I cover that in class specifically. We won't talk about it on the air here. We can't.
well, that's fine. Which class?
It's going to be it'll be the travel and driving class and the tax. I'm sorry. The travel and driving class, we talk about it quite a bit. And also the upcoming debt and foreclosure class will be talking about it, because
Okay.
this is how you cement those judgments.
Okay. Yep. I know it's important. I want to make sure I get it down. So
Cool.
thank you.
All right, awesome. Anybody, and if you guys want, those of you out in TikTok land, if you're like, what is he talking about, these classes? Go to the House of Yah communityoutreach.com, and Yah is spelled YAH. So House of Yah communityoutreach.com. Make an appointment with me. I like to talk to all of my students before they come into the class, just to make sure that we're maintaining your expectations, and to make sure I don't have any cuckoo birds. So if you're a cuckoo bird, don't call me, because I'll find out quick. Joe brought up a good comment too. Also, on your witnesses, make sure they're over 18. That's important. Any other questions, comments? Anybody else? Anybody? We had a really great class last week. It was really fantastic. We had a beautiful opportunity to really cover some new ground, and lots of things are changing in our world every day. And we're ready for these changes as we're ready for these changes. And my kids were reading in scripture today, and we were talking about being ready, and being ready for Yahweh to come back. And how are we going to be ready? Well, you're going to be, if you're not asleep, and the word says specifically asleep, it says don't be asleep, it needs to be awake. It doesn't mean you need to drink coffee all the time and stay up forever. It means that you need to be doing the Father's work. Because if you're doing the Father's work, then you're awake, you're aware, and you're ready. If you're out doing your own thing, then Yahweh is on the second, and you might miss him. That's what the word said today. That's awesome. Hey, anyway, listen, I gotta see your comment there. Yeah, I really wanted to go, but I had to wait until next week. That's cool, man. We're gonna love to have you in this next week's class. We're gonna be talking about debt and foreclosure. And you're probably saying, well, I'm not going through foreclosure. I don't need that. And I got good credit. I don't need that. No, I'm going to be teaching you about how to take care of yourself. I'm going to be teaching you how to stand up when you do have a bad contract. What if you do have a bad loan? What if you got something on your credit report that doesn't belong there? I'll show you how to get rid of it for good. And then I'm going to show you how to sit at home and send bills to everybody that violates FDCPA law. It's a public law. They can't violate it. They absolutely cannot do it unless you let them. Okay. So this class is going to be all about that. And the foreclosure part, it's about foreclosing on your lenders, not about them foreclosing on you. Yeah, that just wouldn't be Tim Dameron style if we did that. So we want to make sure we get that covered. And it's going to be a wonderful class. It's going to be the 19th and the 20th from 6 to 9 p.m. And jump onto my page, houseofyahcommunityoutreach.com. And feel free to set up an interview with me. I'd love to talk with you, love to speak with you, and help you along your journey. There's a lot of false teachers out there. And before we close tonight, I just want to tell you guys that, we have a duty. I heard somebody today said that, if you're not out there testifying and telling people about Yahweh and his good news, then you're not doing his work. That's really spoke to me. And I really appreciate all of you guys being here tonight and listening to this. Oh, John's saying he's getting an error on my interview. If you're getting an error, try to switch. If you're using Safari, that might be why. Safari it does not like use something else. Use Foxfire or Firefox or Chrome. Chrome works pretty good. That's what I'm using right now. And it works very well. So I do apologize, John. Sorry about that. And those of you guys, if you can't reach me that way, send me an email, emmett.damron@yahoo.com, or you can send me at seekgodfirst130@gmail.com. So that's seekgodfirst130@gmail.com. And which God? Yahweh. That's the one you want to see. Awesome. Thank you, man. Thank you. Anyway, I'm going to thank all of you guys for being here tonight. Yahweh bless you all. I hope you have a wonderful evening. We're going to leave with a little walkout music. Maybe. See if it works. Maybe not. Anyway, you guys have a wonderful evening. Good night, everyone. May Yahweh bless your day, bless your weeks. Remember to do something for somebody else because you deserve a blessing. Pay it forward, you guys. And be super blessed in everything that you guys do. We'll see you guys next week, Tuesday night, 6 p.m. Central Time. Bring your questions. We'll see you then. Good night, everyone.